not in my league. You out of place, I'm not at the top, I'm outer space. Can't eat with us, we're out of place. I'm doing fine, I'm feeling great. You're not my fan, you can't relate. Straight talk going state to state.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your host, your boy, George Mackay, back in studio again today, pre-recorded, and I got a good one. For the last week of Pride Month, I got somebody amazing, somebody special, somebody inspirational. I'm a huge fan of this man since he appeared almost 11 years ago with part of the Nexus. Please help me welcome Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosser to Straight Talk Wrestling. How are you, sir?
Oh, thank you very much. You know, normally when I do these interviews, they introduce me as former WWE superstar. You did the right thing, but I like to joke around with the interviewer and say, hey, I don't like to be called former. Former sounds washed up or someone that's just given up, I like to call myself a WWE veteran because my journey started with them in like 2003 when I was doing extra work and grinding on the independents, ultimately getting signed to my dream job with WWE in 2009.
And we're definitely going to get into a lot of that history. I also want to talk to you about your appearances in New Japan Strong. I want to talk to you about your appearances with NWA, one of my favorite promotions. We're just going to have a lot of fun today. So a couple questions. I reached out to a few friends of mine. I told them I was going to have you on, and they had some amazing questions. So I've got three here, and I think we'll start off with them. The first one is, do you feel that corporations and others are exploiting Pride Month and the fight for equality? And if so, how do you feel about that?
Honestly, I can only control my actions and stay in my lane. You know what I mean? Like if someone asks me, oh, what do you think about the state of, the presidency? Unfortunately, I can't control what goes on. I can only control my actions. And every time that, someone reaches out to me on my social media and says, oh, I want to commit suicide, and I've met them, well, that's when I turn into not a psychiatrist, not a doctor, but a friend, so I can only control my actions. Being partnered with, Headquarters Clothing that makes these Block the Hate t-shirts, they're all about it. They respect me. They love me for me. I can't control what these big corporations do. You know what I mean? When I do these interviews, I can plan out everything I'm going to say, but, I can't. I got to just speak from the heart. You know what I mean? If I was a billionaire, maybe I could have some pull, but I just don't. I just have to keep doing what I do. And I know people that see me on social media, I want them to just look at me and just say, well, if he can do it, so can I do. That's why I'm continuing to make moves with New Japan, calling out Kenny Omega months ago, you know what I mean? So on my own social media, having some fun. That's what it's all about for me.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. Another great question is, how do you feel about the state of LGBTQ rights in the USA right now? Do you think things are better than they were a few years ago?
We've got a lot of work to do, if I had all the answers, that's just impossible. You know what I mean? That's just impossible. And I always say, don't talk about what you don't know about. When it comes to transgender issues, that's something that's new to me. You know what I mean? My one friend, Gabby, who was Tyler X, he came out just earlier this year, which blew me away. You know what I mean? I have friends saying, you thought your coming out story was a big deal. Someone like Tyler Rex, Gabby now, someone asked me why I was venting to a friend. I said, man, I'm just very curious as to why he made the transition. And my friend said, well, it's not for you to understand. It's for me to, it's not for me to understand. It's for me to accept his decision and just love him for who she is. You know what I mean? And I've got to be very careful that I don't, misgender Gabby. So it's a learning experience for you. It's a learning experience for me. We have a long way to go. All I can do is continue to be that support system for the community and beyond, not just the LGBTQ community, but anyone that gets bullied into silence. Just like I spoke earlier with your daughter, people might make fun of us for a speech impediment or your hairstyle is ugly. Well, you know what? Screw you, block the hate.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Myself, coming from a bullying background where I was picked on as a kid because I was always a little bit bigger. But then, you know, what was great is that 18 years ago, actually 19 years ago, I met the love of my life, and she looked past all that and saw what was inside. And we've spent 19 great years together, and many, many more. So I always say it, but I love you to my wife. She's my rock. She's my everything. So bless her. And she gave me two great daughters who are amazing, but they drive me crazy. My hairline used to be here, Fred. It used to be here, buddy. Now it's all the way back here, man. It's stressful. It's stressful.
Well, you know, like for me during this pandemic, I have two god babies that I see a lot, and they're 7 years old. So I was the only child growing up. So having these kids in my life, the girl is growing up, boys are boys. It's a lot of fun. So during this pandemic, when everything shut down, I didn't stop. I didn't stop with my social media sponsorships. I didn't stop being a loving godfather. I didn't stop my workouts. I altered my workouts. No gyms were open. More TRX, do more kettlebell work, do more resistance band work. During this pandemic, I didn't have a gym, and I was able to survive. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. Another question, and then we'll move on to more of the interview, is what would you like to see from all of us as wrestling fans and human beings to do in order to block the hate?
Just enjoy wrestling. Just if you're an ally, support one another. You don't have to be gay to support LGBTQ rights. You know what I mean? For me, I've met more transgender fans in the South than anywhere in the world, and that's where the hate kind of comes from, And all I can do is just get these people's information that I come across and let them know that if they don't have anyone that support them in their family, be a part of my social media. Like I said, it's an open diary. So, yeah, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do in that aspect. But what was the question again? Because I kind of ramble and all that other good stuff.
No, it's great. I love it. It's fantastic. It was, what would you like to see us as wrestling fans and human beings do in order to help block the hate?
Yeah, I mean, perfect example. I didn't think my story was a big deal until, of all people, the icon Cher had reached out to me. And she said in the DM, and I screenshot it and I saved it. She said because of her hearing my story, one of her friends who's a big wrestling fan came out to his family. So it was that minute I realized that my story was a big deal. And guys like, Randy Orton, Big Show, especially Randy Orton, saying, when I came out publicly, I ever have any trouble with anyone in the locker room to let him know, and he's got my back. And then from then on, even still to this day, when Brody Lee passed away, everyone was devastated, including me. He texted me and said, "Hey man, if you need someone to talk to, just let me know." And that's a friend right there. All these years gone from WWE, Randy Orton still has love for me. He's one guy that made it a lot easier for me to walk into a locker room, including Mark Henry, Big Show, Sheamus, Titus. So we need more allies. The more, the better. And hashtag and block the hate is so near and dear to me. If we can keep doing that, that's a plus.
Absolutely. Well, your 5 questions with my daughter's dropping tomorrow. So right after we record this interview, we're going to do one of our little special funny videos we always do to announce guests. And we're definitely going to hashtag block the hate. And it's a great organization. And when we set this up, you asked me, you said, do you mind, donating to the cause? And right away, I didn't bat an eyelash. I said, absolutely. And my wife even said, no, we're going to up it. So we did. I'm not going to say the monetary amount because nobody needs to know, but we donated to the Block the Hate because we feel it's a great organization. And my daughter's still developing and becoming. And at the end of the day, love is love and support is support. So if she comes to me tomorrow and says, Dad, you know what? This is kind of what I'm feeling. This is what I'm into. I will be so happy for just her to be who she is. And that's why I find your story so inspirational. And I wanted to say thank you. And I mean, thank you because when you came out in 2013, I was really, really, really impressed with that. I was just like, look, he's just putting himself out there and he's who he is. And I read a great quote that you said. It's when I learned to love myself and I learned to just be me, I became happier. And that's such simple words that the whole world could live by. And it's in knowing that in your story, I started looking at myself. I was not okay. I was angry all the time. I was frustrated all the time. So much like my conversation with Mark Merrill, who's another great inspirational figure in our business, I told him that because my wife, who she helped me, she saved my life. I say that all the time. I decided to go to therapy, and I decided to get right for my kids because I didn't want them seeing someone who was angry and bitter all the time about, things not going right in his life. And it just became, now I wake up every morning with a smile on my face, and it's because of stories like yours, stories like Mark Merrill's, stories of redemption and acceptance that touched me and helped me find the right path. So I promised myself if I ever got you on the show, I'd say that. So thank you, because I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I mean, thanks for reaching out to me. Like I said, when you're under WWE's umbrella, you need permission to do a lot of stuff. So me being on my own, an independent contractor, there's no such thing as a bad interview or a unnecessary interview. Like earlier, like I said, I knocked out Mickey James. I've got a lot coming up the end of this month. So I always say, don't die with the story and you tell it. So however I can share my story to the masses, there's 7 billion plus people on this planet. So whoever can hear my story and get inspired and fired up, then so be it. I always say my fight is much more bigger than in the ring. So when someone like me, a celebrity, comes out, they have a duty now to instill confidence in all of our youth and to lead by example. So once someone makes that decision to come out, they've got to be that superhero for the community. And my biggest honor as we speak, and again, I'm all over the place, and I'm sure we'll get to it. My biggest honor is what I'm doing with New Japan and being accepted, not only being African American, but also being gay. And in 2020, I got Match of the Year with New Japan Strong, and I didn't get it because I was gay. I got it because Tom Lawler and I tore down the house. With no house, we tore down the house. And it's coming up on 1 year anniversary. So hopefully in the future, I can do it again with him. But that's like my biggest honor ever, by myself. I've done my thing as a Nexus. I've done my thing as a tag team. I tried to do my thing with Bob Backlund. It's just unfortunate that the people that work under Vince McMahon didn't have my back. Now I finally got the support from New Japan Strong, and I'm gonna keep rocking. I'm 37. I said, man, I'm gonna push this body till I'm about 64. I'm sounding like Heath Slater. That's how Heath Slater talks. I'm gonna push my body to about 64.
Absolutely. And why not? You are in phenomenal shape. And I remember that match with Tom Lawler, and you're amazing at this because you're segueing right to it. So Tom Lawler, the filthy one, the head of Team Filthy, one of the best, most underrated wrestlers in the business today. People don't recognize his ability on the mic as well as his ability in the ring. So when you and Tom went into that match, I mean, I could tell both of you wrestled with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Like, yeah, we're going to go out there. We're going to do what we got to do. And did you know going into that match, did you have Match of the Year on your mind when you stepped through the ropes together?
I just think I was, the way I look at it, this is real to me. This is real. Don't ever use the F word with me, FAKE. Don't ever, say that with me. But just looking at Tom, he's an MMA fighter. And that intimidation factor for the first time in my life, like set in, like, man, this guy can legit break my arm, break my nose. Like, I'm tough, but he's got that edge and he's got the cauliflower ears and he's just, But I have to steal a quote from him. He said he would have never thought in a million years that he would get in a ring with someone like Fred Ross or Darren Young. But he said the minute that we touched, he knew it was going to be a classic. He knew it was going to be good. And every time I say that, I get goosebumps, you know what I mean? Because that's the biggest honor from your peers, A couple of years ago, I got that from, I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, that's my biggest honor ever, coming from Tom Lawler, that the minute that we touched, he knew it was going to be a classic. He knew it was going to be good. So, yeah, it's just something that I hold near and dear to my heart because I've done my thing as a group and a tag team, but to get this honor with New Japan, man, I was on cloud 9. and you're only as good as your last match. So anytime I have a match like I am every Friday with New Japan Strong, I go in there like it's my last match, you know. Honestly, I've been doing some of my best work because I have almost full creativity. I can kind of paint my own picture, you know, I can map out my fight. And yeah, it's a huge honor. But my biggest test is come this August, performing in front of a live crowd. That's my biggest test, you know. I haven't performed in front of a live crowd for New Japan Strong. So August will be my true test. But I don't know if you know how the New Japan came about, but it was actually, and I save it, I had ran into Lance Hoyt September of 2019 in Pomona, California. And him and I, he was still with New Japan. Him and I did developmental in FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, in 2010. So we ran into each other September 2019, Pomona, California, and he asked me how I was doing. I said, I'm doing well, just keeping it moving, but I've always had dreams and aspirations of doing New Japan. And he said, well, New Japan is doing a show at the Globe Theater in LA in November. Come to it. So he gave me this flyer. The show started at 7 p.m. I got there 5 because 18 years at the time, I wanted to feel the ring, feel it, because I've never been in a New Japan ring. It's hard. I wanted to be able to feel the ambiance of the building. I wanted to be able to meet all the wrestlers and watch the show from beginning to end. And that one question was repeating in my head: do I fit in? Do I fit in? Do I fit in? Thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And after the show was done and it was all said and done, I said to myself, man, I can hang with these guys. I can go with these guys. You know, the style has always been intimidating. I've trained with guys that had that style, and it's rough. But that's when I was starting off in the business. Now I have some experience. I've got some tough skin. So when I said to myself, man, I can keep up with these guys, I talked to Rocky Romero after the show, and that was that. Then the pandemic hit. But right before the pandemic, January and February, I was involved in a musical, off-Broadway musical about marriage equality called Little House on the Ferry. And I got my lines down, but when you add singing and dancing, it's a whole nother element that I would do again in a heartbeat. It was the hardest thing I ever done. And the reason why I did the musical, because Chris Jericho was a big inspiration in everything he does. He did Dancing with the Stars years ago. So at 36 at the time, I said to myself in early 2020, man, if Jericho can do it, so can I. So that's when I did the musical, hit a home run with it, would do it again in a heartbeat. And then the pandemic really hit end of February, March, heavy on us. And then I was reached out to by New Japan June, July about doing some shows. And then I had to double check with my family. I told them on the phone, can I get back to you in a day or two? I checked with my family. I said everything was going to be, COVID compliant and all that craziness. And then that's when I called back up. I called New Japan. I said, yeah, let's rock and roll. And then the rest was history. So I love sharing that story of how it came about, because I chased New Japan down. You know what I mean? I chased them down. It was something I wanted to do. AEW, I tried them. I get tired when a lot of fans say, oh, why not AEW? My back is up against the wall. Well, I tried AEW not once, but twice. And they said, no, they don't have anything. So that wasn't my all-in goal. My all-in goal was New Japan, and I pursued it like I did with WWE. WWE told me no over 40 times until that one year.
That's an incredible story, and that literally is the moniker, right? Never say never, never give up, never take
no days off. No days off. I'm not John Cena. Never give up. That's John Cena. I'm no days off.
Yes, you are.
No days off.
You are Mr. No Days Off, 150%. So, you and I, we share a couple of things in common. One being you're a November baby and I'm a November baby.
November when?
I'm November 26. You are 24 days older than me.
November 2nd. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's why,
Same
hey
year.
man,
Same year.
health is so. Oh, so 1983. They say that was a good year, I guess. The year of the pig, I guess. I don't know. So that's a good year for us.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. When I saw that, when I was doing my research, I was like, "That's incredible, man." We're like, you're technically you are my elder by 24 days.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, the pig year, they say, is supposed to be a special year. We both have bounced back from a lot of stuff, so we're tough as nails, baby.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's that being tough as nails that has made me the better father and the better husband that I am. And again, always wanted to be surrounded by beautiful women. I guess my dreams come true. My wife's beautiful. My daughters are gorgeous. Life is good, baby. Life is good.
That's good. Well, your first daughter, she's 11, and how old's the other one?
She's 5. And let me tell you something right
Wow.
now. She has one of the strongest arm bars in the business. I've been teaching her a couple things, and she's
You
almost made me
got
tap out a few times.
you have to, because like I was the only child growing up, and I had a lot of boy cousins, but I had one girl cousin, but now like I have a god baby 7 cousin, really. And like these girls are very advanced, and you want to just protect them, and they're conversational, and you want to make sure that no one takes advantage of them. So you want to teach them all the tough, like when I say high five, I say hard, boom, be tough, but still, be soft, but still be tough. Don't take mess from these boys.
Absolutely. And you know what? I could say this right now on camera. I can act as tough as nails as I want, but the minute those two young ladies bat their eyes at me, my wallet gets open, my credit card comes out, it doesn't matter. I have gone, my wife comes home from work every Saturday. She works Saturday. She comes home, she goes, "Is there a new toy there?" I go, "Yep, there is." And she
Yeah.
goes, "Where's Cassie?" She's downstairs with another PlayStation gift card.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
am.
but they probably earn it, right? They probably do good stuff and they earn it probably.
Yes, they do good. Yes, you're right. They do good grades. Cassie does her chores.
Yeah,
Also,
see?
I give in a lot too. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand. I give in too, but I always say I'm fair but firm. You got to earn it. You know what I mean? If you're doing good, no, I practice what I preach. No days off. They know it.
absolutely. And you know what? They always say that nothing in life is ever handed to you. You got to earn it. And that's one thing I tell both of my daughters all the time. You want to be a vet, you got to go out there and earn it. I tell my youngest daughter, I say, you want to play soccer? We got to work at it. You got to learn how to kick the ball. We got to do this stuff. And we're getting her into all that stuff. So you've got to earn it. And you know what? From being a dad, full-time working man, doing the podcast on the side, there is no days off for me either. So we also share that in common. So you're right. Forget John Cena's cliche sayings. No days off. That's it. 100%. Another
Yeah.
great match that I loved of yours was this is actually from just May of last month, actually, almost to the day. You in that no DQ match with Haikulo. I hope I'm saying it right. Haikulo. I think I am.
No, no,
I'm not saying
no.
it right.
No, even when I first met him, like I didn't know how to. I never said his name, until I had to ask someone. But it's Hikaleo.
Hikaleo.
Yeah,
Okay.
trust me, the names are tough, But now I know how to say it, Hikaleo, Hikaleo. But before, I did not know how to say his name. But yeah, what did you think of the match?
I absolutely loved it. I loved the whole sequences with that cube van, that truck that you guys did was magical. I mean, it's so inventive. And yeah, we've seen stuff like that before, but I love the story that was told. And a lot of people who aren't wrestling fans, I don't get it. It's not just, oh, these two guys are just wrestling around the ring. No, it's storytelling. It's telling a story without any words. Yeah, there's the occasional smack talk, but really the moves, the artwork, I call it the perfect dance. And
Yeah.
you and him that night, you guys were amazing dance partners, and it was a phenomenal match. And that basement drop kick, that bottom kick was amazing. Just the tip of the iceberg to end it. I loved everything about it.
Yeah, like I always say, the Samoan family, the Samoan dynasty family, the Usos, they are a night off. We're physical in the ring, but they are a night off to be in the ring with. That whole family tree. I always say two wrestlers I wish I could have met or been in the ring with. were Yokozuna and Owen Hart. You know what I mean? When Yokozuna would drop that leg, like, oh man, like you thought he was crushing the guy, but he just moved so well. Someone that pops in my head, Fallout Bob from TNA, if you are Impact. He trained at the same school I trained at, West Patterson, New Jersey, IWF. In 2005, he started. I started in 2002. And when he came in, he just reminded me of Yokozuna, the way he moved, and Samoan wrestlers, they just got it. They just have it. And my goal, I always say at this point with Hikuleo, is I want to be able to elevate talent. I'm gonna get my stuff in, but I want to be able to elevate talent and show that it's not about me, it's about the story. And the in-between stuff is very hard for me to explain. But someone I study still to this day is someone like Randy Orton, someone like Muda, for the pacing. Randy's pacing. No one knows in my head, but when you watch my matches back, a lot of times I have in the back of my head, I'm the Black Randy Orton. I'm the Black Randy Orton. The pacing, the way because with New Japan, I'm able to kind of take my time. WWE, a lot of this stuff is quick. It's like a sprint, which is cool. I've done all that stuff, but it's very tough to tell a story in 3 minutes. But when you have 15 or 20 minutes to tell a story with New Japan, I'm able to take my time and I'm able to create my own stories, because I have a good mind for the business. I was never a main eventer, but I have my moments where the creativity is just on point. So again, I'm staying in my own lane with, New Japan, being signed to them. I watch everything. I see what's out there, but it's very important for me to stay in my lane and not look at what other people are doing or other organizations are doing. I want to be like, and I keep referring to black this, black that, but I want to be the African American Tommy Dreamer of New Japan Strong. The heart and soul of ECW, the heart and soul of New Japan Strong. That's how I think. That's my mindset of thinking.
I would not disagree with a single thing. And another match that I have to highlight is while it was the major storyline in your debut in NWA, you went after my boy, the Pope. You were the #1 contender. You won that great match, and you had that amazing match with the Pope in April. And it was very hard for me, Fred. You made it hard because much like he made it hard, because I follow the television champion very closely. I was a big Zicky Dice fan. Then when the Pope beat Zicky, I felt bad for Zicky, and I had the Pope on my show. His episode's dropping a few weeks after yours, and I said to him, when you won, I went on your Twitter and I just wrote one word: congratulations, congratulations. But when Zicky lost, I went on his Facebook and I was like, Zicky, man, I'm sorry, I can't believe it. You worked your butt off. This whole paragraph, and then the Pope, I was like, yeah, congratulations, you beat my guy. But then the Pope became my guy, and then you were also my guy. And then now I got this conflict of interest, and it didn't, the decision didn't go your way. But man, what a story. And you and Elijah Burke, so much chemistry in that ring, just an amazing match. And I'm so excited for what the future holds with you in NWA. So I got to ask, how did NWA come to be? Because you're having so much fun in New Japan. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, right after the March, right after Back for the Attack, boom, Fred Rosser's in the house. I marked out, and I don't mark out often in wrestling because I just enjoy it. But I did. I had a mark out moment. When I saw you come out, I was like, oh my God. And I knew right away, I'm like, oh, they're going to put him with the Pope. They're going to set it. He's going to win this match. Okay, yeah, he won. Okay, great. Now he's faced. And I got so upset because I told my wife, I go, what am I supposed to do? Either way, I'm going to feel upset. And it's hard as a wrestling fan when you're cheering for both guys in the ring.
Yeah, well, the Pope and I, we go way back to when I was an extra with WWE. It was always him and Chad, God rest his soul. They would always corner me as an extra. Again, 2006, 2007, very shy and timid. That's how I was. They would always corner me. Chad would always bring me into the locker room. And at the time, I did have an afro, and he would bring me into the locker room. And Ron Simmons at the time would always be like, well, he was with the company still. And they'd bring me to the locker room, and Shad would be like, "Hey, Ron, I got your son here." And everyone would start laughing. And that's how everyone got to know me as an extra, as Ron Simmons' son, through Shad. And then the Pope, he'd always see me and he'd see me in the hallway. He'd be like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" "Oh, nothing, nothing." Me, I'm just shy, like, "Oh, nothing, nothing." Just like, but he'd always bring out the best in me. And then years later, we became very close. And to work with him, NWA, he was happy, I was happy, and he's just a good guy that's always supported me. And how that came about is they reached out to me about working with them, and I said, sure, why not? Again, quality over quantity. I don't need to do any wrestling as much as I used to when I was younger, so I just want to be more of a novelty. So the beauty about being with New Japan exclusively is that they do allow me to do my sponsorships with Glitch Energy and a plethora of other, little keto snack companies that I'm able to represent and get compensated for. They allow me to wrestle other organizations, and all that again has to be approved by New Japan because I am with them. But that's the beauty of it, that I can have my cake and eat it too with New Japan Strong. With WWE, when you're under their umbrella, you have to kind of abide by their rules, or like Triple H says, you have to either adapt or perish. And when you're under their conglomerate, make it six figures or so, you just have to do what they say. But when I'm with New Japan, I'm able to do other projects. I just have to make sure I keep it all organized, and New Japan comes first. So to have that opportunity with NWA is awesome.
It absolutely is. And I love the way how you really are, you mesh with so many different styles, and you're such a great storyteller in the ring. And that's not kissing your butt. That's just being honest and real. You have, like you said it earlier yourself, you have a great mind for the business. And I see it now. Now I'm going to go back, and after having this conversation, I'm going to start watching more of your matches and be like, there it is. Right there. He's saying it in his head. I'm the Black Randy Orton. It's happening right at that moment. But talk to me about, I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of the Primetime Players. I loved the Primetime Players. And when you won the tag team titles that one time, I was with a whole bunch of my friends, and we were here and we were watching it, my wife, and everybody was like, nah, New Day's going to take this. This is going to be easy. I said, nope. I said, I don't care what you guys want to throw down. I mean, let's make it reasonable. Let's not go stupid. We're not going to bet $10,000, but let's be reasonable. So everybody throw in $10. So it was about 6-7 of us there. We all put $10 down, 10 Canadian dollars. So the purple money, we have our money looks like Monopoly money. It is what it is. We all threw down our $10, and sure enough, you and Titus, you guys put $70 in my wallet that night. And I appreciated it very, very much. And I loved when you two were the champions. I don't say I wish you would have held it longer or held it many times, because I feel like that one run was so awesome. And I thought you two were a great tag team. And I thought everything about the Primetime Players was fantastic. What are your thoughts about that? That again, you mentioned it with my daughter earlier in the 5 questions, but that moment of winning those tag titles with Titus O'Neil.
Well, you won money, but that whole morning, afternoon, evening, we didn't know what was going on, and I was like visibly like, everyone knows what they're doing on the show, but we don't know what we're doing, and then last minute stuff happens and we win the tag team titles. And I remember Titus saying, "Hey, when we win the titles, let's go over the barricade." And again, and I wasn't out, wait, was I out? Or maybe I was out. But I was very nervous to make the wrong move. And Titus, when we won the titles, he jumped into the crowd, and there's a picture of us. He's in the crowd, and I'm like hanging over the barricade because I didn't want to get in trouble for going over the barricade, because you need permission sometimes to do stuff like that, because fans can get hurt. But Titus, I love Titus. When I got into developmental in 2009, a couple months later, here comes Titus O'Neil coming into Florida Championship Wrestling. straight out of football. And a lot of wrestlers that go from football straight into wrestling, they get, they get a lot of slack, for being a football player and not being passionate about doing the indies first, and going from football straight into WWE. So people look at Titus and stuff like that. And me, in anything I do, I'm always the first one there, the last one to leave. And that's how I was in developmental with Titus. First one there, last one to leave with him, working with him. Because he's a big guy, 6'6", 270. I'm 6'1", 230. He's a big guy. And I'd work with him. And I told him the same people that are shitting on you are going to be kissing your ass years from now. And now look at him. He's an ambassador for the company now. There's so much more that you can do than just wrestle. But Titus and I, how we formed our team, what happens backstage sometimes comes to light. And Titus and I would always be together, and this man saw liking in us. And we BS with Vince McMahon here and there. And ultimately, we got signed to SmackDown by John Laurinaitis. Vince McMahon put us together, and John Laurinaitis announced us on SmackDown. And then everything was history. And Titus Worldwide is real. It's legit. Titus Worldwide, he's got the hookup. So we would travel together, and he'd get some hotel rooms for free. He'd get some hotel rooms for $40, $50 a night. He had the hookup. And these are Marriott properties, So I did all the driving. Titus was the businessman. I did all the driving because me being from New Jersey, doing the independents, driving 300 miles, 200 miles, I was used to it. I love driving. I love being in control behind the wheel. So I always say on these long car rides, I'd rock Titus O'Neil's sleep. He'd book the hotels. He'd fall asleep, and I'd drive to the next city. So he learned a lot from me. I learned a lot from him. And the more that time goes on, the more we miss each other. We still stay in contact. I still stay in contact with all the members of the Nexus, not including Daniel Bryan, because Wade Barrett says he was not part of the original Nexus. So whatever Wade Barrett, Stu Bennett, whatever they want to call him, whatever he says goes. So I still stay in contact with those guys through text, and I still stay in contact with Titus, He's doing great things. I'm doing great things. We're still making moves, still trying to make $1 million moves.
You absolutely are. And that's amazing that you guys all stay in contact as the Nexus, man. The Nexus was such a cool idea. I loved the angle. I loved everything. I also loved the back and forth with CM Punk and John Cena. Who's the leader? Who's going to dissolve the Nexus? Everything about that. But you also talked about something really cool with my daughter. You talked about that amazing match with John Cena on Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
And it was one hell of a match. I don't care what anybody says. It's my show. It's my opinion, and my opinion stands. But how was it to be in the ring with arguably one of the GOATs in our business?
They always would say that I look like the Black John Cena. And recently, when Tommy Dreamer was in charge of developmental, he just said recently in an interview for the longest that WWE apparently would not sign me because I look too much like John Cena. And then Tommy Dreamer said, what? But he's black. So that was like mind-boggling to me. I had heard it in the past, but I didn't think it was true until Tommy Dreamer recently said it on his podcast, I believe, or someone's podcast. I always say I wish I made John Cena type money because everything he touched, he's got that Midas touch. But to be able to main event Raw with him, it opened up a lot of doors for me because it was that night that we went about 15 minutes or so. It was that night that people realized, man, this Darren Young, this Fred Rosser, he can really go. Let's keep an eye on him. And the rest was history. I was honored to share the ring with him. I still talk crap because he's coming back apparently for, I guess, SummerSlam with Roman Reigns. I said on social media, I think I said it, or I'm plan on saying it. I want to say, John, try something different. Come to New Japan, man. Come to New Japan strong. You never stepped in the ring. You want to do all this different stuff like acting and all that stuff. come to New Japan. WWE wants to apparently do some kind of collaboration with New Japan and WWE. Come to New Japan Strong. 10, 11 years ago, when we wrestled that main event on Raw, the outcome, I can promise you, is going to be different, because I'm not a young punk kid anymore. I'm a grown-ass man, Cena, and you're a lot older. So come to New Japan Strong. So I don't know if I've said it. I always ruffle feathers and start trouble on Twitter, but I don't know if I've said it, but I plan on saying it, that you don't need Roman. Challenge yourself with New Japan Strong.
I don't hate that idea. I actually love that idea. And that's a match I would definitely pay to see. When I start promoting this episode, I'm probably going to use that clip.
Why not? Why not? Hey, WWE, when I first came out publicly, I thought that they were forcing media training on me. Like, you got to do media training. And at the time, 2013, I'm like, man, I'm going to say whatever I want. I'm going to say whatever I want. But when I did the media training, I was hooked, because it helped me become a better storyteller. There's no such thing as a stupid question. You know what I mean? It helped me become an incredible storyteller. So, like, whatever I say on here is coming from the heart. I always say I can plan for these interviews, but I work better speaking from the heart.
Absolutely. That's why I always say I don't do interviews. I've always stated from one, I have conversations, and this one has been amazing. We've got a few minutes left, and I've got a couple more questions, and I want to let you go enjoy your evening.
Yeah, do your thing.
Another question that I want to ask, it's kind of a burn a hole in my pocket, is I love the idea with Bob Backlund. I was very intrigued with the storyline, and I don't want to get into the mix of how everything didn't go the way it was supposed to. But how was it in being hooked up with a legend like Bob Backlund and being Bob Backlund's protege? Because I loved everything about the idea. I just wish I would have been able to see the end game of what the idea was supposed to be.
And you don't want me to go into detail?
Well, I don't want it to be, I don't know how to word it. I'm confused with myself in that question. I'm sorry. I apologize. You know what? Scratch what I said. Fred, you're right. You're 100%. I appreciate you on Straight Talk Wrestling. You called me out on my crap, and I appreciate you, sir. So go ahead. You know what? Let's rewind it. Everything that happened with Bob Backlund. Tell me everything, Fred. Everything.
Well, with Titus O'Neil, I know nothing lasts forever. Tag teams, they break up, they make up, break up, make up. We did it twice, I think, Titus and I. And I always had it in the back of my mind, because I've done appearances with Bob Backlund, like autograph signings, one autograph signing and one Special Olympic, or maybe two Special Olympic events. And I'd like to do my autographs standing up, because I like to get personable with the fans. The whole sitting down, like when I do my podcast, I like to stand up. I have the stand-up desk here. I like to do it standing up. I'm sitting down now because I've just been doing so much. I like to do it standing up, but that's how I do my autographs, signing, standing up, getting personal with the fans. And then I look over and I see Bob Backlund doing the same thing, So we're both opposites. He's very energetic. I'm energetic in my own way. And I said to myself, before I was done teaming with Titus, man, I'd love to have Bob Backlund as my manager type, maybe life coach. So I took the idea from Mike Tyson and his former trainer Cuffs. They're both opposites. And Mike Tyson was like laser-like focused with his trainer Cuffs. And so I took a picture of Mike Tyson and Cuffs. Mike Tyson was sitting down, and Cuss was behind him. And I took the visual of that, and I made one of me and Bob Backlund. And I wrote out the storyline with Bob Backlund and him being my life coach. And I always say the most intimidating thing about Vince McMahon is his office door. Once you get through his office door, the sky's the limit. And that's another thing I learned from Titus. Closed mouths don't get fed. If we were at TV and we had nothing on Raw, Titus would bust. I'd be like, hold on, Titus, hold on. Let's have a game plan. He wouldn't even knock. He would open the door, go right into his office, and I'd have to follow him because we're a team. Titus would be like, hey, boss, what you got for us? You ain't got nothing for us? Sometimes he wouldn't have anything for us. So then that's when the app became popular, the the WWE app became very popular, and Titus and I were always on that, always hustling, always on it. I didn't like doing it at the time, but it really helped us because we always say we put the app on the map. But Titus was very bold. He'd always go in the office. Sometimes we'd have a game plan, sometimes we wouldn't. But if it wasn't for him doing that, I wouldn't have been able to muster the courage years later to, well, I had this idea, let me go through. And well, I knocked. Titus would open the door, but I knocked. Vince had come in, and then I proposed this idea to him. And I share the story anytime anyone asks me. We talked for like 20 minutes about the storyline, but most importantly, we talked about yoga. You know, he asked me, man, Darren, how do you get such a big barrel chest? I said yoga, because yoga fixes your posture and it kind of elongates your body, so it fixes everything. So we're not like hunched over, you know, we're upright. So that's how my chest appears bigger. And him and I are like face to face, like sitting. He's like, oh, really? And then we go on talking about yoga, fitness, and then I proposed the storyline, showed him the visuals, showed him it all written out, and he loved it. He loved the idea. And he contacted Bob Backlund personally and said, would you be down to be like a life coach, make Darren Young great again with Darren? And he was happy to do it. He was very happy to do it. And then it took off. We started doing the vignettes, and then the vignettes at first were a little dry because Triple H didn't like how it was produced. So then we had to redo a ton of vignettes that we had already filmed. We had to redo them and add some bells and whistles to them because of Triple H. And we were rocking and rolling with it. And I've got clips saved on my phone that I always do throwbacks or flashback Fridays of the reaction that it was finally getting. Now, I said earlier, I did my thing as a group. I did my thing as a tag team. Now it was finally time to, you know, have a singles run. Give me an opportunity. And I'll never say a bad thing about Vince McMahon. I can't, because he gave me that opportunity. It's just unfortunate that the people that work under him didn't have my back. You know what I mean? I don't know who that was, but Vince McMahon did what he could. When it gets in other people's hands, and when you get behind Vince McMahon and, you know, you say what you say or you do what you do, you know, ultimately it was ruined. You know, I was told, working with The Miz, and I always share the story about The Miz. When I first met him backstage WWE, I couldn't stand him. You know, he's the loudest guy in the locker room, just like so full of himself. Like he is on TV, he's the same way backstage. But fast forward to, he was like my last feud with WWE. And he helped me out so much when it came to Miz TV, the promo segment. He helped me out so much. And he was actually rooting for me to win the Intercontinental Championship. You know, I could have won it at Battleground, and he could have took it the next day at, you know, Raw. But again, I would have had the championship title, and he was rooting for me. Again, like I said, it's just unfortunate the people that work under Vince McMahon didn't have my back. And like I said, Miz was rooting for me. It's just the outcome wasn't what I hoped. And when you're told, when you're with Bob Backlund and you're told you can't use the crossface chicken wing because it's a dangerous hold, you're like, what?
That's
and then you're told to use the Cobra Clutch. I'm like, what? I've got to use a Cobra Clutch. If I wanted Sergeant Slaughter as my life coach, which I could have, he's been very influential in helping me get signed. Also, I would have had Sergeant Slaughter as my life coach, but I had Bob Backlund. So let me use the crossface chicken wing. And I was told by Triple H, I can't use it because it's a dangerous hold. And this is when I talk about my back gets up against the wall so many times. People say, oh, I wish it would have worked. I wish it would have worked. Well, that's the reason. I was told ultimately I can't use a crossface. It's a dangerous hold. And then that was that. And once that match was done at Battleground with The Miz, the match was thrown out. I put the Cobra Clutch on the outside, and they just threw the match out. I came to the back, and I was in the corner sobbing. I'm a grown man. I was sobbing, sobbing, sobbing because I was just upset. Like, no one's gonna take me seriously because people are gonna think like, why is he putting on the Cobra Clutch? Like he doesn't know what he's doing, you know? And that's how I felt. And it was Triple H that came over and was like, oh, Darren, come on, man, why are you crying? Like he wasn't he wasn't really caring, let's just say. But then a couple weeks later, Miz had ran up to me at a live event in the locker room, and he said, "You know, I don't watch NXT, but you wouldn't believe Asuka was using the Asuka lock, which is the crossface chicken wing. She's using the Asuka lock now." And I said in the locker room, I yelled it out. I effing knew it, and I just walked out. I effing knew it. The move was being held for someone, and that's just the nature of our business, man. And when people ask me how come it didn't work, well, that's the reason it didn't work. You know what I mean? I have no control. My future is controlled by a pencil. They can pencil me in and erase me out. And like I said, if I gotta lose, I've got to go out losing with a winning spirit. You know what I mean? So it's a tough business. It's a tough business, but I don't really, you know, concern myself with moments like that. I concern myself with moments like achieving my dreams, you know, using my platform that I've built with WWE to do things with New Japan. And when I reach out to these sponsors, you best believe I'm saying WWE veteran, New Japan superstar, is still wrestling, still grinding away. How can we work together? You know, so I'm still going to use WWE's platform to elevate me because I beat my body up, I say all the time for a long time. So I'm still going to use their platform to make moves.
150%. And one of the greatest moves, and my final question is, again, to reiterate how amazing the Block the Hate movement is. I love everything about the organization, and it's not just about LGBTQ rights. It's that, but it's also about acceptance all over the world. And it's about embracing who we are as individuals, but coming together as one spirit. And that's what's so amazing about the organization. And the fact that, you know, you are, you know, the tip of it, and then it trickles down, and it's amazing. And do you have any upcoming events with Block the Hate or anything you're doing upcoming after this episode drops on June 24th? Is there anything you want to share about Block the Hate, how people can get into, how people can donate, how people can help the cause, which is absolutely fantastic. And again, I was honored to donate a small amount, but I know it's going to help a lot. And I know you appreciated it. And I didn't mind at all because it was worth it 100%.
No, I appreciate it. It helps keep the movement going. Like I said earlier, when I work with the Covenant House here in LA, and we handle homeless youth. The Trevor Project here in LA deals with teen suicide. It helps me work with these organizations by creating vision boards, doing activities, doing Zooms, doing what I got to do to spread my message. And Headquarters Clothing, who makes these cool tank tops, you know, the equality sign, you know, they're huge supporters of me. And like I said, I'm not the first and I'm not the last LGBTQ superstar. I'm just one that is vocal, that is outspoken in a good way, and that's a blessing to the masses that are able to live out their dreams, you know, and move forward. So like I said, block the hate, hashtag block the hate. If you do it, if you hashtag it, I always say none of us are strong as all of us. You know, I've got Kalisto, WWE superstar. I've got Sasha Banks. I've got so many close personal friends that support me, and they're allies themselves. So I can't do it all by myself. So again, interviews like this where I can share my story, someone might be like, man, whether it's on social media or on the TV, man, I can be the next superstar, you know. And that's what the whole goal, the whole block hate movement for me is. You know, in this world, we all receive hate for various reasons. But in order to be strong and successful, you have got to block that hate. And I won't stop. I can't stop.
Absolutely, and you shouldn't stop. And you know what? It was the angle with Bob Backlund was great. Make Darren Young great again. But you know what? The secret is Fred Rosser was always great. Take away the Darren Young name. He was amazing. And it was an honor to share this conversation with you today. But now it's an even bigger honor to call you a friend. And that's the coolest part about this. You're an amazing human being. You're an inspiration. And I could say hands down that I've had a lot of great conversations, but this one definitely ranks up there. And it was an honor and a privilege to speak with you today. And if there's anybody out there who's foolish enough to not be following Fred Rosser, please let them know where they can find you on the wonderful world of social media and that great inspiration that you have on all your platforms.
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram, that's where it's at. I don't have Snapchat, or I don't have TikTok. Eventually I'll get TikTok. I don't know. But my bread and butter is Twitter and Instagram at Real Fred Rosser, RealFredRosser, my government name, not Darren Young. Twitter, Instagram at Real Fred Rosser, hashtag block the hate. I can't do it alone. Block the hate, spread the word with me, strengthen numbers.
Absolutely, 150%. I follow you across all social media platforms, and I know the mini host does. And if you got the time, a follow back would be an incredible honor, but no pressure. At _Straight Talk on Twitter and Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, where you'll be able to catch this conversation and all my many conversations. Fred, what an amazing conversation. What an amazing story. I can't wait to do it again down the line. And guys, don't forget, hashtag block the hate, because like Fred said, he's just one person. We can all do it together. We can all block that hate together. The world can change. It could be better for the future generations, like the mini host and like Fred's amazing godchildren. So please block the hate, support where you can, because the issues that he's dealing with are huge. Teen homelessness, teen suicide. Suicide has been very real during this pandemic, and it takes strong people to help uplift everyone else. I'm not a motivational speaker by any standpoint, but if anybody wants to reach out to me, please, I will be honored to pass on your DMs to Fred and make sure that we can try to block that hate together and make a positive change. Fred, again, thank you so much for the time. It's an honor and a privilege, and peace, love, and wrestling. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Anytime.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to tune in next week for another great episode on all available podcast platforms and hosted on Podbean. Also, check us out on YouTube at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Instagram at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Facebook at Straight Talk Wrestling, and on Twitter at _Straight Talk. And if you feel the need to buy some sweet merch, check us out on ProWrestlingTees.com.
Leaving the scene with no trace, not in my league. You out of place. I'm not at the top. I'm outer space. Can't eat with us. We're out of place. I'm doing fine. I'm feeling great. You're not my fan. You can't relate. Straight talk going state to state.